Chapter 891, Personally Dealing with the Matter. The woman was aware of Tang Ning. After all, she had stirred up the international arena quite a few times. But regardless of who they were up against, Kate's team was confident that their extra conditions would be added to the contract. In France, I am treated like a national treasure. Everywhere I stay is at a 5-star standard. But look at the hotel here in Beijing. Even the air conditioner is broken. I don't want to stay in a place like this. If someone complained that Hollywood was mistreating foreign actors, they would have to endure it, because it was Hollywood. But, who did superstar media think they were in comparison? Kate's team was prepared to battle it out with Tang Ning. They already had 1,000 reasons to convince Tang Ning to accept the new conditions. But, they had obviously underestimated Tang Ning's abilities as a manager and boss. They thought she was here as an actress. But, from the moment that Tang Ning stepped foot into the meeting room, she was no longer the actress Tang Ning. The white suit on her body made her appear mature and gorgeous. Kate suddenly found that she was unable to tell what Tang Ning had planned. Kate had brought along a few lawyers as well as her manager and assistant. All up, there were 5 of them. But, Tang Ning simply brought along Long Ji. I heard that your team requested additional conditions, Tang Ning said straightforwardly. Kate did not say a word. Instead, her manager spoke on her behalf. Our Kate is famous in France and has a considerable status in the international arena. We have the right to receive better treatment. You should have discussed these conditions when you first signed the contract. Since the contract is already signed, then you have the responsibility to abide by it. Or do you think superstar media is easy to pick on? The contract was set by us, so there's always room for adjustments. Plus, you were the ones that invited Kate here. Shouldn't your responsibility be to satisfy her needs? The manager asked expectantly. If you want to blame someone, you should blame yourselves for not having anyone in China that is comparable to our Kate. Otherwise, why would you travel so far to beg us? So what do you plan to do? Tang Ning crossed her arms. Our lawyer will discuss with you the conditions that our Kate wants. The manager thought that Tang Ning was coming to a compromise, so he began to mention the lawyer. But, as soon as Kate's lawyer stepped forward and handed Tang Ning some documents with Kate's conditions, Tang Ning stuck out her hand and gestured for them to stop. Before you make any new requests, I think you should sign this document first. Tang Ning gestured for Long Ji to hand over a document that was typed in French and placed it in front of Kate's manager. A contract cancellation agreement? The manager was shocked. Superstar media may have a lot of money, but we aren't stupid. The first time you made requests, I already had the intention to send you packing back to France. I have 3 reasons for this. Firstly, my country may not be well developed, but I still have access to entertainment news. At the very least, I know that Miss Kate's acting in France is skilled, but her reputation is a mess. So don't tell me that you get treated like a national treasure in France. Do you think I've never been to France? Or did you expect me to never go to France? How embarrassing. Secondly, it's not that China has bad actresses. It's just that Kate suits the role we are trying to fill. If it wasn't because I was pregnant, I don't think she would have stood a chance. According to statistics, my influence in the Western market seems to be much higher than hers. Thirdly, from what I've heard, Miss Kate has reached a point in her career where she is trying to change her style, but she hasn't found any suitable roles and ended up partaking in a few flops, causing her agency to suffer. If we were to cancel our contract now, and your agency blames you for their loss, not only will Kate stay in a room with no air conditioning, she may be left with no room at all. In conclusion, superstar media were the ones that chose you, not the other way around. So, go ahead, sign the contract cancellation and go home. Let's not waste any more of each other's time. The other party never expected for Tang Ning to say such harsh words. So, Kate looked especially displeased. Long Ji, keep an eye on them as they sign the agreement. I don't have time to waste on them, Tang Ning said before she turned to leave. However, Kate's manager suddenly held her back. I can sue you for breaching the contract and request for compensation. The first time that we revised the contract, we already confirmed it as the final revision. In other words, you have no right to request for a second revision, or you'd be breaching the contract. So, I'm afraid the person that will end up paying compensation is you." The manager froze after hearing these words. Obviously, they came here intending to get benefits from Tangning, but never expected that she never wanted them from the start. What a bunch of trash. Although Tangning expected foreign actors to receive special treatment, it was unreasonable for Kate to be so pampered. Tangning's standpoint was clear, her approach was firm and her message was simple: either act or go home. "Come on, sign it," Longji said in English. But, the manager pretended not to understand English and refused to sign it. Of course, Longji did not expose him. After all, Tangning didn't truly want them to leave. She simply wanted them to know that superstar media weren't pushovers. Afterwards, the manager called Kiaosen over and spoke to him in a much more polite manner. Kiaosen was quite surprised. It seemed, from now on, Tangning would need to personally deal with these matters. After this incident, Longji waited for a suitable time to speak to Tangning. Heart to heart, "I thought you'd take this opportunity to send Kate home and take on the role yourself. I never expected you to keep her around." Tangning, both Lu Che and I think that a domestically produced sci-fi film should star one of our own. Otherwise, it wouldn't feel as pure and authentic. Neither of us feel like we can accept it. You worked so hard to prepare for this film. If you end up making Kate famous, the only face in everyone's memories would be hers. Even if you couldn't take the role, you should have found someone else from China to take it. "I didn't make the decision," Tangning replied. "I'm sure Kiaosen made his decision from a business standpoint. Let's just stick with it for now and see how we go. Once the film begins shooting, there's no turning back," Longji reminded. "Plus, both Lu Che and I don't understand why you must give up your identity as an actress. Even though you're a manager now, why can't you still act? Susan's incident wasn't your fault." Chapter 892, Be a part of the excitement. Tangning did not say a word. To be exact, there was nothing she could say. "You are currently a highly sought after manager and actress. Whether it's your popularity or your acting, no one can compare to you. Longji, that's enough." Tangning rubbed her stomach as her gaze darkened. "Okay," Longji sighed helplessly. Tangning was currently pregnant, so she couldn't have too much ambition nor ideas. For now, being a mother was her main identity. Moting put aside his work for Tangning's sake. So, for the sake of her daughter, Tangning had to take good care of her body. There was nothing more to think about. As for Kate, it was best if they didn't end up using her. But, even if they did, Tangning would never allow Longji's worries to come true. But, of course, she had no idea that her battle with Kate had only just begun. Meanwhile, it was currently early in the morning. After resting at the Lee family home for an entire day and night, Lin Qian finally had the energy to get out of bed. But, Li Jin was not by her side and she was in someone else's home. How was she to walk around? It was certainly awkward. Qian, why are you out of bed?" Mother Li's voice echoed from the distance. "Li Jin returned to the military base already. He asked me to take care of you. Are you still feeling unwell?" "No, Auntie. I know it's hard for you to adjust to this place. The two of you aren't anything yet and he already brought you here." His father and I were also quite surprised. "But, since the two of you have the intention to take things further, we have nothing to say. So, don't feel so conscious," Mother Li said with a grin. "Treat this place like your own home. But, from now on, don't let people doubt your relationship. After you get married, you can immediately move in here." Lin Qian was speechless. "Actually, I still have work to do. I'm going to return to work now." "This child, don't act like an outsider. Come drink some chicken soup." Lin Qian could not find words to say. Li Qian had never experienced the warmth of a family, so Mother Li's enthusiasm was a little overwhelming. But, it wasn't hard to tell that Mother Li was an open-minded mother who held her son's opinions in high regard. This was something the Lin Qian had never witnessed in the Quan family. So, this chicken soup was a little hard to swallow. "Don't be so silly from now on. If you wait too long for the rascal and don't see him, then go find someone else. It's better to torture the jerk than to torture yourself and make your body suffer." This time, Lin Qian felt extremely embarrassed. In fact, she was beginning to question whether Mother Li was Li Jin's birth mother. Luckily, at this time, Zai Hanmo had already finished filming overseas and was back in China, so, Lin Qian was summoned back to her side. If not for Zai Hanmo, she wouldn't have known how to excuse herself from the villa. Mother Li didn't want Lin Qian to leave. She had wanted a daughter for many years. Plus, it was a rare occasion for Li Jin to bring home a woman, so Mother Li had to take advantage of her time to enjoy being taken care of by a daughter. It was all Li Jin's fault for being too reliable and not allowing her to experience the joys of being a mother. He grew up way too quickly, but, apart from growing up, he spent most of his time at the military base and had a cold expression the majority of the time. Qian, please visit often. Okay, Auntie. Lin Qian was quite frightened. Even so, she still felt a sense of warmth spread through her entire body. After arriving at Zai Hanmo's home, Zai Hanmo stared at Lin Qian and noticed a soft smile on her face. It was obvious that she had made progress in her love life. Are you happy? It's a bit overwhelming. Lin Qian summed up her experience at the Li family home. Li Jin is a good person, Zai Hanmo said in seriousness. Cherish him well. The two of you have gone through a lot together. If you get married in the future, you will definitely be very happy. Hearing the word married, Lin Qian was suddenly reminded of Quan Zai. Quan Zai was getting married soon. Later that night, Lin Qian finished work and headed downstairs. As she left the building, she spotted Li Jin's car and quickly ran over to it. My mom told me that you left, so I assumed you'd be back at work. Yeah, and he was being too enthusiastic, Lin Qian said in an overwhelmed tone as she boarded the car. Li Jin did not say a word. Instead, he leaned over and placed a kiss on Lin Qian's cheek. Lin Qian was a little surprised by his action. What was that about? Nothing. Li Jin's lips slightly curved upwards as he started the car and drove Lin Qian home. But, just as they arrived, Lin Qian suddenly said to Li Jin, my brother is getting engaged. Can you come with me to the engagement party? Since it's your brother, then, of course, I'll go, Li Jin replied without hesitation. Good. Li Jin knew that the Quan family was like a black hole. He couldn't possibly let Lin Qian go on her own and withstand the difficulties and taunting. So, he was not only going there to protect Lin Qian, he was going to turn her into the center of attention. But, of course, Lin Qian did not know about this. She simply wanted someone to accompany her so she wouldn't be alone and she would be satisfied. As Quan Zai used to be a part of the entertainment industry, there were naturally a lot of celebrities invited to his engagement party. Even Mo Ting received an invite because he was once Quan Zai's boss. After all, Quan Zai couldn't lose out on any gifts. However, Tang Ning felt that this engagement party was quite interesting. Quan Zai had pursued Lin Qian for many years with no luck, yet, in the blink of an eye, he was marrying another person. So, Tang Ning had a feeling that things weren't that simple. Quan Zai had been stuck between Lin Qian and Mother Quan for many years, which meant he wasn't a person that easily surrendered. So, now that Mother Quan made him lose the love of his life, Tang Ning expected that he wouldn't let his mother off so easily. Is Lin Qian going? Mo Ting asked after coaxing the two kids to sleep and seeing Tang Ning stare at the invite. With Li Jin backing her up, what is there for her to be afraid of? Even if she decided not to go, Li Jin would force her to go. So, there's no doubt that she's going, Tang Ning replied. That's why I want to go as well. President Mo. Is there any excitement that you don't want to be a part of these days? Mo Ting said as he looked at Tang Ning. Fine, if Mrs. Mo wants to do something, then I will accompany her. If not because of the child in her stomach, Tang Ning would not be able to resist the temptation she felt from Mo Ting at that moment. Although he was already at the age of an uncle, he was still as handsome as ever, and for some reason, he was becoming more and more attractive. But, before the engagement party was to take place, Zai Hanmo's first variety program was about to start broadcasting. Everyone had already heard that Zai Hanmo's reactions while on holidays was quick and witty. But, was she also that lovable on the program? After all, she had been previously famous because of her bad reputation. Who's to say that she wouldn't have a bad reputation again? Chapter 893. No longer her responsibility to stand up for her, Zhu Qing took special care of Zai Hanmo, guiding his junior with all his heart. But, even though he became extremely famous after the flood incident, It did not change the television station's plan. They still planned to replace Zhu King. Zai Hanmo was oblivious to this decision. All she knew was, Zhu King was a good host that treated people with sincerity. But, she never imagined that the mentor she just accepted, the man that made her a part of the cast, was about to leave. On the broadcast night of The Big Adventure, Zai Hanmo was extremely nervous. These days, whenever she had questions about work, she no longer searched for Tang Ning because she knew that Tang Ning had never been on a variety program. Instead, she turned to Zhu King. But, the next time that she turned up at the television station, someone told her that Zhu King was in the station head's office. A little while later, Zhu King stepped out followed by another man. It appeared, they were having a discussion about something, and from the look in Zhu King's eyes, their discussion did not end well. Zai Hanmo immediately ran over and questioned Zhu King. Zhu King, what happened? It's nothing, Zhu King shook his head. To prevent Zai Hanmo from asking further, he quickly changed the subject. What are you doing at the television station so late at night? Tonight is the first broadcast of The Big Adventure, so I was feeling a little nervous. Are you here to see the audience's reaction? Zhu King returned to his usual calmness as he led Zai Hanmo to an office with a television. Inside this office were other members of staff. This way, people won't misunderstand us. I don't want to prevent you from ever finding a boyfriend. Zai Hanmo did not say a word. She simply felt that Zhu King was very thoughtful. Looking at the numbers right now, The Big Adventure seems to be doing fine. I'm sure the viewership ratings won't be a problem. With you around, the ratings couldn't possibly be low. I actually want to know what the public thinks about me. Zai Hanmo smiled self-consciously. You are one of Tang Ning's artists, so I can tell that you don't want to fall too far behind Luo Wuxing and Xinglan. But, Hanmo, you've already done really well. Don't be too concerned by public opinion. As long as you stick to the right methods, the results will never be too bad. Zhu King felt that this would be the last time he'd be able to give her such sincere and earnest advice. You need to trust in Tang Ning, you need to trust in me, and you need to trust in yourself. From now on, you need to focus on creating a good program. Regardless of whether I am around or not, you need to maintain your initial enthusiasm. Zai Hanmo simply felt these words were a little strange, but she did not think further into it. After all, Zhu King had always been a sensitive man. His gentleness made people around him naturally feel comfortable. That night, Zai Hanmo returned home late, but she slept peacefully. The next morning, she woke up to good news from Lin Qian. The Big Adventure had the #1 ratings in the variety category. In fact, reviews were great and the audience accepted seeing Zai Hanmo's face in variety. Because, in the program, Zai Hanmo was honestly someone that knew a lot and didn't have a fake personality. For example, while overseas, one of the guests' light bulbs broke. In response, not only did Zai Hanmo replace it, she even fixed the wiring. Also, during their missions, Zai Hanmo was smart, but she was considerate to not make her guests lose face. Zai Hanmo was honestly in the wrong field before. I finally feel like she's taken a proper step into the entertainment industry. Tang Ning's honestly great at guiding newcomers. So this is how Zai Hanmo's personality is really like. Her previous manager was sucking her dry with fake rumors. Most of the netizens were fooled. The comments weren't completely great, but they were extremely honest. But, just as The Big Adventure became a trending topic, another piece of shocking news burst out onto the scene. The internet was claiming that Zhu King would be leaving the show. In an instant, fans began to complain. Everyone clearly saw how great of a host Zhu King was. Plus, The Big Adventure was a huge hit. So, why was he leaving? This piece of news was much too shocking, not only for the fans, but also for Zai Hanmo. She finally understood what Zhu King meant by his words the previous night. In fact, her guess was that Zhu King wasn't leaving The Big Adventure at his own will. But, she wasn't about to impulsively look for the head of the television station. This would only make matters worse for Zhu King. So, instead, she gave Long Ji a phone call. She wanted Long Ji to investigate the reason behind this decision. After receiving Zai Hanmo's phone call, Long Ji was quite proud of her. It seemed, Zai Hanmo was finally thinking logically. Don't worry, I will give you an answer soon. Long Ji knew that Zhu King's stability was a direct impact on Zai Hanmo's future prospects. Apart from Zhu King's matter, The entertainment industry was also fairly occupied with the announcement of the evil charming Kwon Zai's retreat from the industry and the announcement of his engagement. Previously, there were rumors about the incestual relationship between him and his sister, but now, he was planning to marry a government official's daughter. So, it was time for the old rumors to be forgotten. I can't believe this evilly charming man is suddenly getting engaged. I used to be obsessed with him. I know, right? Kwon Zai is a rare find in the industry. He was born with a pair of amorous eyes that drive women crazy. It's a shame that he now belongs to someone else. Even if he didn't marry a socialite heiress, none of you would have stood a chance. After all, isn't his sister his most loved? What do you mean love? Wasn't he just playing around with her? With the Kwon family's status, they would never allow an adopted daughter to become their daughter-in-law. That's way too embarrassing. Then Lin Ki-on must be really pitiful. The rich socialite circles are claiming that Lin Ki-on has broken all ties with the Kwon family. The Kwon family brought her up, so she can't return their kindness with ingratitude. Netizens began discussing the matter at hand. Some felt that Lin Ki-on was pitiful, while others felt that she was cheap. But, most importantly, Lin Ki-on was about to lose Kwon Zai as a shield. After all, no wife would ever allow their husband to be attracted to their own sister. So, everyone assumed that Lin Ki-on's life was about to be very tough. It was only normal for the public to think this way. After all, this was based off the previous rumors about the two. Kwon Zai was about to marry and settle down and was throwing Lin Ki-on aside. All of a sudden, Lin Ki-on sounded like an unwanted toy. Seeing these insults, Lee Jin sat in his office without a word. The only thing he wanted to do now, was to clarify everything for Lin Ki-on. Of course, Tangning was amongst the people that were waiting to watch a good show. As Lin Ki-on's friend and boss, she refused to see her being bullied. But, it was no longer her responsibility to stand up for her. Chapter 894, She was ready to show off to the world. Kwon Zai's engagement party was to be held at the Kwon family home. On the night of the celebration, the villa was decked out with luxurious decorations and dazzling lights. Plenty of big names were coming to the party, so Mother Kwon couldn't lose face. She was extremely controlling. Not only was this visible in the way that she treated Kwon Zai, even fine details like the warmth of the lights in the living room, had to meet her requirements. Tonight, she was ready to show off to the world. After all, Kwon Zai's fiancé was from a political family and people were always jealous when business and political families combined because it meant they could support each other. Soon, the Kwon family home was filled with guests. People from all walks of life were present and they were all gossiping about the Kwon family's secrets. Lin Ki-on and Lee Jin headed out much later than everyone else. But, Lee Jin decided not to wear formal wear to the event. Instead, he chose to wear his military uniform. It seemed, no form of high-class brand could draw as much attention as the uniform on his body. Tonight is my brother's engagement party. Don't tell me you've prepared some kind of a show, Lin Ki-on suspected on the way to the Kwon family home. I've prepared a gift. After all, you may have broken ties with the Kwon family, but you are supposedly indebted to them, Lee Jin replied as he drove. After hearing this, Lin Ki-on fell silent. Although she was curious about Lee Jin's present, she was in no rush to find out what it was. After all, it would eventually be revealed. Lee Jin did not say another word. He was better than anyone else at remaining calm, especially when it came to gift giving. After all the pain that the Kwon family had put Lin Ki-on through, how could he possibly let them off so easily? Meanwhile, at the engagement party, under the intertwining of the lights and the pleasant-sounding violin, the guests were all discussing the soon-to-be groom. At this time, Mother Kwon smiled and said to everyone, "Everyone, please remain calm. When the time is right, my son will naturally come out. He said he's preparing a surprise for the bride and wants us to remain patient." Fair enough, but how come we don't see your family's second miss? Everyone was well aware of who this second miss was. But, this didn't stop a few of the guests from asking Mother Kwon about her. In response, Mother Kwon did not look pleased. Lin Ki-on is busy today. I don't think she'll be able to attend. Everyone was well aware of whether it was because she was too busy to attend or whether there were other reasons. But, everyone sat back and enjoyed the show. So, as soon as Mother Kwon turned around, They all began to whisper amongst themselves. The rumors have already made the rounds in the industry. Kwon Zai personally admitted to liking Lin Ki-on. Someone even saw them acting indecently in the bathroom on the night of Father Kwon's 60th birthday. Now that Kwon Zai has thrown Lin Ki-on aside and decided to marry the daughter of a government official, Lin Ki-on must not be taking it well. Don't tell me the Kwon family adopted Lin Ki-on so their son could have someone to play around with? I really want to see Lin Ki-on's expression right now. You better stop talking. Look who's here. Even though the Kwon family didn't pay much attention to the entertainment industry, it was impossible not to know who Mo Ting and Tang Ning were. The couple kept a low profile and didn't dress too fancy, but their presence resembled a king and his queen, so everyone's attention was naturally drawn towards them. They even found themselves subconsciously raising their glasses and greeting them. No one expected Mo Ting and Tang Ning to attend. Even though Kwon Zai was once a part of Hyrule, this was much too strange. Everyone immediately tried to suck up to the couple. After all, if they managed to grab the attention of either Mo Ting or Tang Ning, they would have a high chance of becoming famous. Unfortunately, as soon as the couple arrived, they found a nice spot to sit down before Mo Ting went to say a few words to Father Kwon. President Mo, thank you for your attendance. Mother Kwon approached Mo Ting with a smile and tried to cheers him with the glass in her hand. But, Mo Ting completely ignored her as he turned around and returned to Tang Ning's side. Mother Kwon was surprised. In fact, she was a little dumbfounded. Have I offended him in some way? It's fine. Everyone knows how heartless Mo Ting is. He pays attention to whomever he wants and he could ignore someone without batting an eyelid, Father Kwon explained. Since you'll never see him again, you shouldn't take it to heart. Mother Kwon took a deep breath as a form of acceptance. But, what's Zai getting up to? Why isn't he back yet? Why are you being so impatient? Your future daughter-in-law is still upstairs getting her makeup done. While they were speaking, one of the guests suddenly let out a surprised gasp. At this time, the bride-to-be was seen walking down the stairs from the second floor. It was hard not to admit that she was indeed beautiful. In fact, she had a natural elegance to her, befitting of a government official's daughter, and her appearance and presence were both breathtaking. Is this the bride-to-be? She's beautiful. Yes, when compared to her, Lin Ki-on is like a wild weed that's subpar. Exactly. Their different backgrounds make them appear so different. Everyone watched as the bride-to-be stepped before them dressed in a white mermaid gown. But, everyone also subconsciously looked around for Kwon Zai. The bride was here, but where was the groom? Seeing that her daughter-in-law was so beautiful, Mother Kwon pounced towards her excitedly and wrapped her in a hug. Yi, you are beautiful. The woman looked down at the engagement ring on her finger and smiled. Thank you, Auntie. Why are you still calling me Auntie? The woman was a little surprised, but in the end, she turned to Mother Kwon and timidly called her Mom. Don't worry, now that you've called me Mom, I will always be here to back you up. At this moment, all the lights in the room turned towards the bride-to-be. She was the center of attention. This was the Kwon family's new daughter-in-law, an identity that would never be wasted on an adopted daughter like Lin Ki-on. Mom, where's Zai? The bride was curious why the groom was nowhere to be seen on such an important day. Zai said he wanted to give you a surprise, so he left in the afternoon to begin preparations. Mother Kwon replied kindly. Let's patiently wait for a little longer, okay? The bride-to-be nodded her head. The relationship between the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law was so harmonious that it made everyone envious of them. But, at this time, someone began to guess that Kwon Zai was nowhere to be seen because he had gone to look for Lin Ki-on. As soon as Mother Kwon heard this, she was furious. So she quickly reassured her daughter-in-law, don't believe in their nonsense. Zai always keeps his promises. Don't worry. Plus, Lin Ki-on is just our adopted daughter. There could never be anything between her and Zai. Don't get any weird ideas. At first, Miss Yi smiled understandingly, but, as time passed, her expression began to change. Chapter 895, No Adoptive Mother, Just a Future Mother-in-Law. Auntie, it's already getting late. You need to tell me when Zai is making an appearance. He is the groom-to-be. Mother Kwon was initially confident, but slowly, she began to question what Kwon Zai was doing. Did he actually run off to look for Lin Ki-on? As Kwon Zai's mother, This was the first time that she felt like she couldn't control her son and had no idea what he was thinking. There were so many guests present and the Yi family was also there. Yet, Kwon Zai disregarded everything. Was he trying to force her into a dead end? As more and more people began to point and gossip about Miss Yi, the Yi family finally approached Mother Kwon impatiently to question her. What is happening here? Why is Zai nowhere to be seen? My daughter is out there greeting the guests on her own. What is the meaning of this? My dearest in-laws, I'm so sorry. I will immediately send someone to contact Zai. I'm sure he isn't such an irresponsible person. Please give me some more time, Mother Kwon comforted. It's already been half an hour. I'll give him another 10 minutes. If he doesn't show up, I'm not sure what I am capable of doing. Mother Kwon simply smiled. It wasn't easy for her to gain 10 minutes, but no matter how she tried to contact Kwon Zai, there was no way of getting through to him. In a rage, she began to suspect that Kwon Zai had actually gone to look for Lin Keon, so she decided to contact her. If this unfilial son actually went to look for Lin Keon, I'm going to kill him. At this moment, Miss Yi overheard Mother Kwon's words. So, she turned to her and said, I can't believe that Zai is actually involved with his own sister. Your entire family are a bunch of liars. After speaking, Miss Yi ran out into the middle of all the guests. Mother Kwon quickly ran after her. She couldn't let the bride run off as well. Zai Yi, things really aren't the way that you think they are. I already heard what you said. You said that Kwon Zai went to look for Lin Keon. If there isn't something going on between them, why would Kwon Zai look for her on the night of our engagement? Your entire family is a joke. No, Zai would never go look for that slut. Trust me. Mother Kwon began to panic. If he didn't go look for her, then tell him to come out here immediately. Do you know that the entire room of guests are laughing at me behind my back? I haven't even married into the Kwon family yet and I'm already being humiliated. The Kwon family sure know how to bring up a good son and daughter. They're so good that they are f***ing each other. Miss Yi was so angry that she almost said these words out loud. But, no matter how she tried to control her volume, a few of the surrounding guests heard what she said. So, they began to think that their assumptions were correct, that there was really something going on between Kwon Zai and Lin Keon. In fact, they may have even run away together on the night of Kwon Zai and Miss Yi's engagement. Yi, to be honest, Lin Keon is a little slut and our family did indeed invite a wolf into our home, but Zai was only tempted by her. I can believe you when you say that Lin Keon is a slut. But why is Kwon Zai still not here? The two of them teamed up to humiliate me at a place like this. Mother Kwon was also angry. She never expected Kwon Zai to cause such a drama. She shouldn't have let her guard down and allowed Kwon Zai to leave and prepare a so-called surprise. More and more guests began to point and gossip as the Yi family reached their limits. Finally, Miss Yi said to Mother Kwon, I will not let the Kwon family off for this, especially not Kwon Zai and Lin Keon. This time, Miss Yi did not hold back as she yelled these words across the room. All the guests were shocked. They did not expect things to end up like this. Meanwhile, Tangning sat among the guests with a meaningful smile. She had come here to watch a show, so she was enjoying herself as she leaned comfortably in Mo Ting's embrace. Could it be that Lin Keon and Kwon Zai actually eloped? Could it be that Lin Keon was unwilling to let go of Kwon Zai, so she decided to seduce him away? Could it be? Actually, there weren't that many could it be's, because, just as everyone was insulting Lin Keon by calling her a slut and making disgusting assumptions about her relationship with Kwon Zai, Lin Keon suddenly arrived at the engagement party with Lee Jin. All of a sudden, everyone was looking at Lin Keon and the soldier with a sense of irony. Mother Kwon was certain that Lin Keon had seduced her son away, but, Lin Keon unexpectedly showed up in front of everyone. As soon as Miss Yi saw Lin Keon, she rushed over to her and asked, Did Kwon Zai go looking for you? Are the two of you planning to elope? After hearing these words, Lin Keon furrowed her brows. Miss Yi, are you suffering from a serious case of paranoia? I was simply late to the party. I'm not sure what's happening here. Stop acting. Speak. Where have you hidden Zai? Mother Kwon suddenly asked. Lin Keon leaned into Lee Jin's embrace and laughed. Mrs. Kwon, are you also suffering from paranoia? Then explain yourself. Miss Yi decided to give Lin Keon a chance to explain. Firstly, there's nothing going on between Kwon Zai and I. What evidence do you have? Miss Yi cut in. Am I not her best form of evidence? Li Jin asked coldly. Ki-on simply came to attend her brother's engagement. Things aren't as complicated as you think they are. Hearing Li Jin's response, everyone finally turned their attention towards him. Looking at his uniform, many of them quickly recognized his military rank. He was a major general. So, everyone began to trust in Lin Qion's words more than what the Quan family was saying. After all, the man beside her was a symbol of ultimate power. Miss Yi was also slightly taken aback, because Lin Qion was staring dead straight into her eyes. I'm not sure why you would think I'd elope with my brother. I would like to know who started this rumor. You will need to ask your adoptive mother about that. Miss Yi glared at Mother Quan. At this time, Li Jin said to Miss Yi, Qion has already broken all ties with the Quan family. Mrs. Quan even demanded Qion to pay her back $30 million for the care she provided. So, I'm sorry, our Qion no longer has an adoptive mother, she only has a future mother-in-law. Oh God, Lin Qion actually found herself a major general. If I had to pick between Quan Zai and a major general, I would also choose the latter. Does this mean that Lin Qion has always been innocent and the Quan family has been slandering her all along? Chapter 896, The Climax. Isn't an adopted daughter also human? How could she ask her for $30 million? That's unbelievable. The Quan family throws the blame on Lin Qion whenever something goes wrong, but Lin Qion now has a strong backing and doesn't need to take the blame anymore. Miss Yi looked at Lin Qion. She then glanced at Li Jin. Of course, in the end, she trusted Li Jin and believed that Mother Quan was a complete liar. You previously claimed that Lin Qion seduced your son and that your son was a victim, but Lin Qion is now standing before us and she is saying that none of that has happened. So, what do you say to that, Mrs. Quan? Miss Yi asked. That? You are a disgusting adoptive mother, Miss Yi yelled on behalf of Lin Qion without any reservations. Afterwards, she turned to Lin Qion and apologized. I'm sorry, Miss Lin, I misunderstood you. I'm glad everything has been clarified now. Otherwise, the Quan family would have continued to blame you whenever something went wrong. Lin Qion glanced at Mother Quan and noticed that she was looking at her, hoping that she'd save her. But Lin Qion completely ignored her. Mrs. Quan, Lin Qion can no longer take the blame for you. Is it time for you to tell me where Quan's eye is? At this moment, Mother Quan felt like a pig on a spit. She was completely helpless. Before Lin Qion arrived, she still had the option of throwing the blame on her, but now that Lin Qion was standing in front of everyone with Li Jin by her side, it was practically like Lin Qion had served her a burning hot face slap. Did the Quan family think that the Yi family are easy to pick on? In the past, you bullied Lin Qion. Were you also planning to bully me from now on? Let me tell you that it's impossible. Just as Miss Yi began to lead her family out of the villa, the housekeeper suddenly rushed in holding his phone and said to Mother Quan, Madam, I finally got through to the young master. Quick, Zai Yi, please don't be angry. Look, we finally got through to Zai. After speaking, Mother Quan received the phone and turned on the loudspeaker. Son, where are you? Why aren't you back yet? Everyone has misunderstood you and you've made Xiao Yi angry. I am out surfing with some babes. I won't be returning anytime soon. If you want you can get engaged on my behalf. Don't you love controlling my life? Since there's no difference whether I'm around or not, why do I need to be there? You can make the decisions on your own. You can finalize the engagement for me and find a time to finalize the wedding as well. Everyone will be happy after that, right? Quan Zai's charming voice resounded from the phone. As for Miss Yi, I must apologize. If I had rejected you, my mother would have threatened me with death and punished me. All I could do was temporarily agree to the engagement. After a short pause, Quan Zai continued, but I honestly don't want to marry someone that I don't have feelings for. So, I'm sorry, you can finish the ceremony on your own. This is my present to you. After Quan Zai was done talking, a loud slap echoed through the room. Miss Yi had slapped Mother Quan across the face. Everyone was shocked. I hate parents that force their own children. Yet you've taken it to the extreme. First, it was Lin Qion, Now it's Kwon Sai. You toy with your children just to prove your power. What a complete psycho. I need to thank Kwon Sai for what he did today. If not for him, I almost jumped headfirst into a fire pit. Since the Kwon family likes to act so much, they can act all they want. After speaking, Miss Yi left the ridiculous engagement party with the rest of her family. The guests continued to watch on, but they weren't watching an engagement ceremony. They were watching a spectacular show, because Mother Kwon's mask had been torn off in front of everyone. But, while she was pitiful, it was also hard not to hate her. Everything that happened was a result of her own actions and it all panned out naturally. She had controlled her children their entire lives. Yet her son betrayed her during the most important occasion. Now, the entire Beijing knew she was an evil woman. How was she to face people from now on? Father Kwon immediately asked the housekeeper to send the guests away because the scene was much too ridiculous. Afterwards, Father Kwon and Mother Kwon helplessly pleaded, Lin Ki-on, Xiao Ki-on, the Kwon family are sorry for what we've done. But you saw what happened tonight. Your mother has suffered a huge blow. Could you put in a few good words to the public for us? After all, we brought you up. If you didn't bring that up, we may have been able to still hold a conversation. But, Mr. Kwon, it disgusts me to hear you mention that you brought me up. Lin Ki-on responded straightforwardly. Don't worry, I won't add to your misfortunes. But, I will never lie for Mrs. Kwon either. Otherwise, I would become like her. Hayes, this was our own doing. If they knew this would happen, they wouldn't have done what they did in the past. At this time, Father Kwon contacted an acquaintance and asked him to control public opinion and not to allow any negative news about the Kwon family to be released. However, Lee Jin had already made corresponding arrangements. So, the Kwon family had no choice but to provide an explanation. They couldn't just bully Lin Ki-on without facing any consequences. It was indeed a good show. Tang Ning raised an eyebrow at Lin Ki-on as she left. This time, both Kwon Sai and Lee Jin helped Lin Ki-on exact her revenge. Did you have fun watching it? Mo Ting asked beside his wife's ear. Of course. From now on, no one will say that Lin Ki-on seduced her brother, Tang Ning replied. Meanwhile, due to Mo Ting's powerful presence, none of the guests dared to get too close to the couple, even though many of them wanted to ask Tang Ning for autographs. Mo Ting shielded Tang Ning as they left. However, even up until this point, many people still didn't understand why the couple had shown up at the engagement party. But, the reason was simple. It was because of their friend. After all the drama subsided, the night finally ended with Mother Kwon fainting. It was originally a well-planned out engagement party, but it was completely destroyed in the end. Was this a result of all the pent-up anger that Kwon Sai had accumulated over the years? Did he release it all in one go? Of course, after this incident, Lin Ki-on was no longer affected by Mother Kwon's rumors. Let's go. I'll take you home, Lee Jin said as he looked at the messed up Kwon family home. There's no point sticking around here. Yes, Lin Ki-on nodded. Although Miss Yi had an interesting personality and was quite cute, Lin Ki-on was happy for Kwon Sai. At least, when it came to marriage, he did not easily come to a compromise. After this incident, Mother Kwon would no longer have control over his marital affairs, right? Unless, of course, she wanted to embarrass herself again.
Hit the like, thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening.